In the upcoming Battles of Legends set, we get a new set of cards for an archetype with a lot of Light Fiend monsters in it. In a way, this deck feels like the full archetype that Fiendsmith never truly got, outside of it being an engine. We have about 15 ways to get into Requiem in this list, but I'll also be showing something different you can do in the case that Necroquip ended up getting banned. So we're going to start here by normal summoning the Cruciano, and because this is a Fabled video, I do want to show this just because it's going to be a lot of what you're doing on turn 1, even though I know that a lot of you have probably seen this like a million times, but we're going to use the effect of the Lacrima here, sending the Engraver. We can then get ourselves the copy of the Requiem, equip itself onto the Lacrima off its effect so that we can go onto the Necroquip, then use the effect of Engraver in order to special summon itself back, go to the Caesar. Now this second combo features what happens when you have an extender alongside Cruciano, so we're going to do our Fiendsmith combo again in order to special summon out the Lacrima, use the effect of Lacrima in order to send the Engraver, use the effect of Cruciano, which will then be able to pitch the Luri, and now we can use the effect of the Luri in order to get ourselves access into the Yama. Now, as I said, this is something that you can do in case Necroquip gets banned, but we're going to get ourselves the copy of Sharvara, then use the effect of Engraver in order to shuffle back the Luri, special summon itself back, and now you will have two options. The first option is just popping the Yama and going into Caesar off of Engraver and Sharvara, but the other option that you have in case Caesar gets banned is to pop the Engraver, special summon out the Sharvara, go into our Promethean Princess, use the Promethean Princess to bring back Sharvara, then we can go into the Chimera, we can then pass on to our opponent, kind of just want to show what this board does since you are ending on a Chimera, especially if you don't know what these cards do because you're a returning player or something, but using the effect of Promethean Princess as our opponent special summons out a monster, and then we can target the Chimera alongside the copy of the monster. We'll then be able to use the effect of Yama in our graveyard alongside the copy of Chimera as Chainlink 2 to chain block it, returning the Chimera to the extra deck, which is pretty important just in case you need to link this away again. Bring back the Sharvara off of the Yama, and now since we're only locked into Fiend since we popped the Promethean Princess off its own optional effect, we can get back into our Fiendsmith plays as we're going to bring back the Requiem, bring out the copy of Lacrima, then Lacrima can send ourselves the copy of the Trap card, but it also at least gives us a point of interaction with the pops that you get from the Promethean Princess. You also have the Trap, which can really give you a couple of options. Now for this next combo, we'll be featuring the new cards finally, and this is the Fabled, I'm just going to call it Behemoth. It's a level 2, same stats as Songon, the 1000 attack, 600 defense, Beast Tuner effect. If this card is in your hand, you can discard 2 or more Fabled monsters, including this card, and if you do, special summon 1 Fabled Synchro monster from your extra deck, whose level equals the discarded monster's total original levels. This is treated as a Synchro summon. If a card is sent from your hand to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, and keep in mind it's not just a card, it's cards, but you can banish this card, special summon 1 Fabled monster from your hand. You can only use each effect of Behemoth once per turn. Now we're going to go on to the main phase where we're going to end up pitching Marcosia, and this is essentially your searcher for the new spell and trap that we got in this set, and this is why we play it, but we're going to go into our Andwraith, and Andwraith is a cool monster here because it allows you to draw cards, discard, really can potentially get your entire engine going, and this is where you do have some RNG because if you end up getting an extender, then you can do more, but we're going to end up using the effect of the Marcosia in order to get ourselves the Fabled Realm. It's a continuous spell that reads, when this card is activated, you can set 1 Fabled spell trap from your deck, except Fabled Realm. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when your Fabled monster is synchro summoned. Once per turn, you can discard 1 Fabled card, then activate one of these effects. Draw 1 card, special summon 1 Fabled monster from your graveyard or banishment. Now, this is a cool card here because it means that it can get you into a disruption, but it can also provide a little bit more of a grind game next to your Fiendsmith monsters, but we're going to go into our Requiem, go into our Lacrima. We can then use the Lacrima to send the Engraver, get ourselves the Requiem so that we can go into the Necroquip, and then use the effect of the Engraver so that we can special summon itself out, go into the Caesar, activate the Realm so that we can get ourselves the copy of Fabled Treason, and for this you do have to keep a card in hand so that you can discard it once you target a Fabled monster in your graveyard and a face-up card on the field. Discard the card that you keep, and then special summon the monster in your graveyard and destroy the card on the field. Now, this is an important card in my opinion because it can potentially get rid of floodgates. With this, I'll take you on to the next combo. Now, for this next one, we have Behemoth and Cruz, and this one is going to show pretty much all of the new cards, I think, but we're going to end up sending away the Cruz and the Behemoth off of the Behemoth effect in order to get ourselves the level 4 Synchro, and this one reads, one Fabled tuner plus one non-tuner monsters. Your opponent cannot target other Fabled synchro monsters you control with card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of this Fabled once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon one Fabled monster from your hand or deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw cards equal to the number of Fabled synchro monsters you control, then discard one card. And this one is really cool because it works with Andraith, or rather, you have access to both, where maybe you synchro away this, go into the Andraith, you can end up chain blocking. Behemoth, by the Cruz getting it back, will also be able to special summon a Fabled from deck via the level 4 synchro, get Cruciano, and then from here we can go into the Requiem, use the effect of Requiem, get into our Fiendsmith combos here, as this time around we're going to use the Lacrima in order to send the Engraver, go into our SP, we can then use the Engraver in order to bring itself back, and this is important that the Fiendsmith engine, again, really works well with the Fabled stuff, and this is kind of what I was talking about, where this is the Fiendsmith archetype if it actually had an archetype, because just being able to go into our next new Fabled card, Lever the Bull, or whatever that is, but one tuner plus one non-tuner monsters once per turn during the main phase quick effect. You contribute any number of Fabled monsters, and if you do, take control of that many face-up monsters your opponent controls, but their effects are negated. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one other Fabled card in your graveyard, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, add that target to your hand, and you can only use this effect of the lever once per turn. Not only is it an interruption, but because you can get a Fabled monster back to your hand, like something like Cruz, which happens to be a light fiend, it can also provide follow-up. Now, for this next combo, I want to show what happens when you have the Behemoth alongside Cruz, and you happen to draw into Tractus. Now, I will be starting with the Tractus in hand, just to show that you can either draw it or open it, doesn't matter, but we're going to start here by using the effect of the Behemoth. We can pitch away the Cruz in order to start the same way as we did before, using the effect of Cruz Chainlink 1, the new Synchro Chainlink 2, as we'll then be able to special summon out the Cruciano and the copy of the Behemoth. I would like to point out, this is where the deck is a little bit weird, because when you play the Fabled version, you are doing all this stuff before you go into your Fiendsmith plays, and you really aren't always going into Caesar sometimes, but we're going to end up sending away our Lacrima, special summoning our Lacrima in order to send away the copy of Engraver, and then we can go into our Andraith. From here, we'll then be able to use the Andraith in order to get ourselves the draws. Then we can go into our copy of the Lever, and from here we can use the effect in order to get another draw, pitch a card, we can then activate the Tractus, we'll get the copy of Lurie. Now we still have the Engraver in the graveyard that we haven't used, so we're going to do just that so that we can get access into the SP this way. Now, for this next combo, again, you can either draw into a Fabled monster and the Tractus. I'm just starting with them here, but we're going to start here by using the effect of the Behemoth and pitching the Cruz so that we can go into our new Fabled monster, use the effect of the Cruz alongside the new Fabled monster to bring out our Cruciano, then bring out the Behemoth, go into our Fiendsmith Requiem, again, doing a lot of the same things that we have been doing. This will probably be a shorter video because of that, but we're then going to send away the Engraver, go into our Andraith, get another couple of draws here as we'll be able to pitch one, and then go into our level 10 as we'll then be able to use the effect of the level 4 in the graveyard, get ourselves a draw as we can pitch another card. You see that I didn't pitch the Cruciano there. We're keeping it in hand because we will be able to use the effect of the Behemoth in the graveyard to special summon out the Cruciano, Engraver in the graveyard, so that we can go into our SP, and now we can use the Tractus in order to get ourselves the copy of Marcosia, pitch the Marcosia so that we can get access into the realm, then we can activate the realm so that we can get access into our Treason, and with this, we can pass on to our opponent having the interruptions off of SP. You have the quick steal that you can get off of the level 10, the pop that you can get off of the Treason, and then you still have potential follow-up that you can get off of the Lever via getting back one of your light fiends in the graveyard, whether it be the Marcosia or the Fabled Cruciano. Now, finally, I would like to showcase a full hand where that RNG finally starts to take place a little bit more, because it's one of those things where if you're not Fiendsmith comboing, then you're extending because you actually saw those extenders. So we're going to get ourselves the copy of Marcosia here. We'll be able to use the effect of Marcosia off of the Tractus pitch, activate the Realm, which will be able to get ourselves the Treason, and now we can activate the effect of Realm again. Now, I'm going to draw here that you could special summon back the Marcosia in order to potentially play around hand traps, but because we have the Lurie in hand, I don't think that's totally necessary, as we do get the copy of Raven, normal summon the Raven here, and I think that the Raven is an interesting card because it can bait hand traps before you even go into your Requiem, but at the same time, I still don't know if it's worth playing at 3 just because you have the Cruciano and you actually want to see stuff that you can discard for it. You'll see that in this build, I'm only playing it at 1, but there is more than enough ways to get into your Fiendsmith engine. So we're going to end up pitching away the copy of Lurie, as we'll then be able to go into our level 4 Synchro this way. We can then use the effect in order to get ourselves the copy of Cruz, go into our level 6 Synchro so that we can then get the effects of level 4 is Chainlink 1 and the level 6 is Chainlink 2, get ourselves a couple draws, pitch one, get ourselves another draw, pitch another one, go into our Requiem. Then we can use the effect of Requiem bringing out the Lacrima. We can then send our Engraver, use the effect of the Engraver or the Requiem, so we can then get ourselves access into the Necroquip, use the effect of the Engraver now, putting back the level 6 Synchro or whatever else you want to put back, as we'll then go into the Caesar, and from here we can set a card, pass on to our opponent. With all of the combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and as you see, it is pretty cookie cutter, as you have as many light fiends as you can play and want to see. I only play the light fiends that I would like to discard off of Kushano, or in this case the Raven, because you can just discard a bunch of cards. It's kind of like your splash play that you can get off of even something like Fiendsmith Tractus if you have that extra discard or whatever. But then I also would like to talk about the choice of playing Foolish. Foolish is here in case you happen to draw it alongside Behemoth, and then you have like a bunch of going second cards that you could see with it. In this case, you could actually just send away the Kushano, pitch the Behemoth, get back to Kushano, and go into your Fiendsmith combo that way. With all of that out of the way, I really don't have much else to say about this, since this really is like a Fiendsmith deck, and I don't want to bore you guys with more Fiendsmith stuff, which is kind of why I understand why there hasn't been many videos of it. But I have the 3 copies of Marcosia, the 3 copies of Kushano, the 3 copies of Cruz, the 3 copies of Behemoth, the 3 copies of Imperm, the 1 copy of Thrust, the 1 copy of Talents, the 1 copy of Foolish, the 1 Engraver, the 1 Lacrima, the 3 Tractus, which again, this is like Rhoda for the deck, and maybe even better just because you have the ability to fuse with it, you have the ability to discard a card, which can end up being an extender as well. But then we have the 1 Raven, the 1 copy of the Lurie, the 1 copy of the Realm, we then have the 1 copy of the Treason, the 1 copy of the Paradisium, we then have the 3 copies of Nib, the 3 copies of Ash, the 3 copies of Bell, the 3 copies of Droll. These can be whatever hand traps you want to play, and I would like to point out, it kind of sucks that you can't play Dominus Impulse or something like that. You are using lights and darks, considering that you can potentially go into IP and SP. If you would like to play Purge, you still can. Pretend you were never going to go into them. But onto the extra deck, we have the 1 copy of the Fiendsmith Link 3, we then have the SP, IP closed, the 1 copy of Sequentia, we then have the 1 copy of the Fiendsmith Requiem. I would like to bump this to 2, but it's just the fact that you can shuffle it back, still considering what number of synchros I want to play as well. So if I do take out a synchro, then the second Requiem would definitely come in. Then we have the 1 copy of the Lever, the 1 copy of the Valkyrus, the 1 copy of the Andraith, the 1 copy of the Ragan, the 1 copy of the Gam. We then have the 1 copy of the Trem, the 1 copy of Desiree. We then have the 1 copy of Necroquip, and the 1 copy of the Caesar to round out the deck profile. Now, some last things I would like to go over is information on whether the Necroquip or Caesar gets banned or something like that, and we have to play some of these cards. Another cool option becomes this level 10, because if you pop it with Sharvara, it just means that you can get 3 Fabled monsters back to your hand from the graveyard, and that can be a really strong play. There's also stuff like the Charmies you can play for going second. Would like to point out that this is another interesting card that you can play. So then finally there's Grimro. I just don't think that you need to play this anymore, because these cards being able to get into your Fiendsmith, and then this one being your fusion play, with what these two do on their own, the Fabled Raven kind of being like the power play, Lurie being part of the Fiendsmith stuff, even though it is a Fabled card. I just don't see the reason to play this card as a searcher anymore. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.